welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be showing you guys how to make a high-waisted skirt with a crop top. I've already started the video, then I started making the clothes, then I said let me just show you guys a short clip of how to make this two-piece. So for this, I'm making it in a very small size, so I'm using like 2 yards of fabric. I'm making it for I think a 12-year-old going for graduation. So this is the part of this the skirt, and then this is the band. So let me tell you guys how I cut this. So for this is 2 inches for the width of the band. That's from this end to this end, and then this here is the full body of the gathered skirt. Normally when you're cutting a gathered skirt, what you're going to do is, if you want it extremely full, then what you're going to do is measure your high waist, and then the width of the fabric you're going to use, that's the width of the fabric you're going to use together, is going to be 4 times the waist of the measurement you got when you measured your waist, right? So if you want it just normal gather, then you're going to use like 3 times your waist measurement. So the waist measurement for this skirt is 25 inches, right? So 3 times the waist measurement is going to be 25. So that means that the width of the fabric I'm going to use together, the whole width is going to be 75, which is 25 times 3. So with that, the next thing you're going to check is the length you're working with, right? So the length of this skirt is supposed to be 38, and 38, remember I also have 2 inches for my band, right? So I'm going to just subtract the 2 inches from this the length of this skirt. So if I subtract the 2 inches, which is going to be still added back when I put this 2 inches band, then the next thing I'm going to add is 1.5. The 1.5 is 1 inch for folding the end, because this is going to be the end of the skirt, the part that is touching the ground, and then this is going to be the waist, the part that will be attached to this. So what you're going to do, whatever you want your band to be, you subtract it from what the length of the skirt to be, and then you add 1.5 to it. So I've done it, and this is what I have for the gather of my skirt. And then for the band, I don't have the stay that is normally ironed into the fabric, right? I don't have the white thing that is normally ironed here. So what I did is just to cut my fabric. The width I cut here is 9.5, and then I folded it this way. I folded it once, I folded it again. So now this fabric is serving as the stay to give it the thickness and the band to the band. So now I'm going to fold it over again into 2. So now I think it's thick enough for me, because I don't like when it's too thick, and then when you sit down it start digging into your body or into your belly. It feels so uncomfortable. So normally I'll just rather fold it with the fabric on itself. So after that, I folded the band. The next thing you're going to check is what your waist measurement is. So for me, the waist measurement is 25. So what I'm going to do is to add around 1.5 or not 1.5, sorry, 2.5 or around 3 inches to the zip allowance. So, because you know sometimes you put on weight around your belly so you can easily take it out. If you don't want that, you can just use 1 inch, and that is for your seam for the zip allowance that will go to the back. So this few inches I added is for the 3 inches I added, because mine is 28 at the moment, right? 25 plus 3. So the extra 3 inches I added is for the band, and 1.5 on this side, 1.5 on this side is for the zip. So when I put it in, I'm going to just the zip is going to go somewhere in between here, and this is what the band of the skirt would look like, right? This is what it would look like. So what I normally do is, before I start to sew, because it's just plain gathered, before I start to sew, what I do is I mark whatever I have as my extra seam allowance. For me in this is 3, which when you divide it into 2 for one side of the zip and the other side, you have around 1.5. So I just mark 1.5 here, and then I mark the center of the fabric, and then I also mark halfway to, which will be somewhere here. You see, this is just so that I can be able to, because when I start to sew, another thing I also do when I start to sew is to mark my fabric, what I'm going to use to attach as the girder, so that I can be able to distribute the girder equally. What I will do is to just take this fabric the way it is, right? This is what I'm going to be using as my girder. The way it is now at the end, I'm going to first notch the center, like the center. I'm going to notch it first, and then fold the center into two. Like the way it is now, fold it into two again, and notch this part here. Like I'm going to still give my 1.5 inch for the zip allowance, right? And then I'm going to give it another notch here, because I don't normally do the girder before putting it to the band. I just attach it as I go. So what I'm going to do, I've already notched it at the center, notched it at the side, and what I will do now is when I go to sew, I'm just going to find the center of this fabric here, put it in between this here, put it like this is the center, right? This is the notch that I made at the center here. So I'm going to put it to this chalk that I made at the center of my fabric, because if you look, this is the center of this band here. This is the center here. So I made a notch here, center to this same center here. I'm going to just put it in here, and then I will begin to just gather it on the sewing machine, gather, and make sure that the next part where I stop will be where I have the notch. So this notch will go to this same line here, right? This line here, and then the next notch will go to this next line here, and the rest of them will just fit until I get to the band, if it makes any sense. So you just put it this way on the sewing machine, your band on one side, the skirt on one side, and then you start from the center. I normally like to start from the center. So you start here, putting the fabric from the notch to the notch, and then you just imagine your sewing machine is here, and then you just pinch it a little bit, gather it a little bit, put it inside of this here, open it up, put it inside, and just keep sewing. And so on the front side. So that's how you're going to do it, and finish up till the end, and then you close it up and put in the zip. So after that, to cut the top, what I did here is to just get two pieces of this fabric here, 1 and 2, right? 1 and 2. And how I was able to get the width for this, the bust measurement I'm working with is 26, right? 26 divided by 2 divided by 4, because this fabric is folded into 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I did it this way because remember there's no zip allowance for this. So there's no zip, so it doesn't matter if the two of them are the same width. Because normally when you have zip allowance, you might do something like this, fold it the second one into 2, and then you have like this zip allowance at the end, right? But this here, the two of them are the same length here. So after that, what you're going to do is put the two together, fold it. Just fold your fabric into 4, and then you measure your bust measurement divided by, you calculate bust measurement divided by 4. For me, 26 divided by 4, if you approximate it, it will be 6.7. So let's just call it 7 inches, because remember on the thumbnail you see that the top is loose. It's not supposed to be really fitted, it's supposed to have some room to it. So let's say my bust measurement is now 7, and then I added extra 1 inch for the ease, like the ease to the dress, and then extra 1 inch for my seam allowance, which is 9. So the width is 9. So to get the length here, what you're going to do is to check the shoulder to waist. The shoulder to waist I'm working with is 12, and then you subtract around 4 inches for the shoulder to where the off shoulder will start. So that's what I did here. And then I have 13 left. The 13 I have left because, as you can see, I'm working with just 2 yards of fabric. So I added extra 1 inch here, and then I cut the top part and then the bottom part here. The reason why I made it 13 is because I gave it half an inch here and half an inch at the bottom, right? Because normally I told you the shoulder to waist is 12, right? So the extra 1 inch to make it 13 here, The extra 1 inch I added to make it 13 is for half an inch at the end, half an inch at the top part here, because the fabric is not much. So I'm going to use this piece of fabric here when I'm done to make a loop for passing the elastic at the top and passing the elastic at the bottom, if that makes any sense. But if you have enough fabric to work with, what you would do, I'll still make a video to explain how to make a crop top like this, but I'm just trying to show you guys while I'm doing it, just so you could see how I made something like this. But meanwhile, I'm managing the fabric. The next video I'm going to make, I'm going to try to make it with enough fabric so that I can just explain it fully if you're using a full fabric to do this. So after that, if you're using a full fabric, just add 1 inch on top, 1 inch on the bottom, or 1.5, 1.5, so that when you fold it in, you have enough room to pass elastic. And it also depends on the inch of elastic you're using. I'm using a very, very tiny elastic. It's not even up to half an inch. So after that, the next thing you're going to do is to check the shoulder measurement here, which is, for me, is, and then come down this way. The armhole that I'm working with is supposed to be, so the next thing you're going to do is check the armhole. So the armhole I'm working with is 15 divided by 2, that's going to give me 7.5, right? So 7.5 is where I stopped my line here, right? So I'm going to mark this way and then curve it this way for the armhole. I'm not going to change anything on the waistline. It's just going to be the way it is for this top. So this also is my sleeve. I made the same thing. I cut it into two. I'm into two pieces here. I'm working with sleeve width of, sleeve width of 10. That's round the sleeve is supposed to be 10, but I added 10 divided by 2, and then I also added 1 inch to it for ease, and then half an inch for seam allowance. So that's why I have 6.5 here. So after that, I'm going to just put it underneath this here. I'm just going to put it under here, and then I'm going to cut this out. So now this is what I have to work with. This here, I've cut this out here. This can also apply to a bigger size. Just fold the fabric, add the extra room that you need for ease, except you don't want it loose. You can always make it fitted, and then if you want your sleeve even longer, you could make it long. I've seen the style with a long sleeve with elastic at the end, but this is going to be a short one. So I'm going to start. So guys, this is what the two-piece looks like at the moment. So this is the top, and there is the skirt here. I've finished the skirt. So this is the two-piece together. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.